Okie doke, how is this? So I just had a call from a customer and okay, so I've still got like 5 seconds of lag on this. I don't know what has changed since last week. My little tablet is getting a bit toasty. To anyone watching, how is this looking? I think the audio is probably going to be out of sync. I'm seeing... Right, I'm going to clap my hands and then count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, we're down to about a second. Okay, we're down to about maybe 2 seconds. This is really just really weird to watch. Yeah, I think we've got about 2 seconds of lag on the screen. Okay. Well, yeah. Let me know how it's looking. If it's coming through at a reasonable quality for anyone who has tuned in. Yeah, chuck it in the chat. I'm just gonna crack on. Yeah, we'll see how we do. Right, let's hit the record button. Right, we are recording. Yeah, a bit of lag, but all good. Yeah, I think I'm still seeing about 2 seconds of lag on my computer. I was literally just on the phone chatting to one of my mates. He's going to help me set up like a KVM switch so that we can run the streaming off of my big Threadripper server through in the other room, and then we won't have any of this nonsense lag. Okay. Right, now I've had customers in all morning and then some business meetings, so I'm going to need to remind myself where we are with this build. Yep, we should be streaming out to YouTube as well. Before I move on to the bodywork, I am gonna to cut off the YouTube stream because they had a little panic attack last time they saw the bodywork of an airsoft build. Oh, it looks like the the live stream on YouTube is bugged. Let's just restart YouTube, see if that solves it. Yeah, I meant to... Okay, no, YouTube seems to be doing fine. Right, let's put the lo-fi radio back on. Oh, come on. Yes, we don't want the ads. Thank you. There we go. Okay, yeah, man, it's big stuff at the shop. We're sort of separating out the tabletop gaming side of things. AJ is going to be taking over that. That is his sort of domain. So yeah, see what he does with the business. Right, okay, Airsoft Tech Head. Let's get back in the game, shall we? So now we need to hook up this one. So yeah, so we've got positive and negative. Yep, so that's the positive daisy chain. That's the signal. Then let me remind myself of the polarity. Yep, it's that way around. So it is positive at the top. So this is the positive side. This is the negative. So we're going to run negative onto the perron, and then from the perron, so perron goes that way around. So run the perron just there, attached to that connector, and then the other side has got to go to this connector for the motor. Okie doke. So I think we should just be able to take the wire down here. So we've got, whoopsie daisy, right, put you down. So let's just double check clearance, because we don't want to impede where the barrel is going to sit. Yep, that's fine. So there is plenty space down there. Awesome. Yeah, so we can just go through this little hole here. And that is going to allow us, yeah, so we'll connect up through that little hole, down through the, down through here, and then we'll come up round here. Yeah, so you're just going to come up round there. We'll bring the other one round the same way. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to go over to the soldering station and let's make sure I get this in the correct position. So yeah. So we can go there to there. That's our solder spot. Right. I'm going to go over and solder a wire onto that. We're just going to send you straight, come on, straight down there. pull you up just a hair. There we go. Now we can screw that down. Oops, where are you? Nice. There we go. That is still going to give us plenty of space for our spade connector. Plenty of connection room. There we go. Awesome. So we're going to bring you up there. Keep you as tight up against. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to take you a slightly different route. We are going to bring you around the other side, I think, because I've just seen that could very easily block the out of the way of the receiver slot, the receiver pin slot. So down that way. And in there. There we go. Ah, hey Georgie. This is a Tokyo Marui Mac 10. So it's an electric pistol, or a CMG, compact machine gun. Yeah, so we're having a pretty decent upgrade. There we go. So let's have a look at the spacing here. Come on. Where are you going? Yeah, you come out the road. So, yeah, pretty decent little upgrade. We already had the barrel and hop. So, yeah. Okay. I think we're ready to tie this down. So, parent is going to go on there, like that. That is going on the positive side of the motor. And then these two wires come into the other side of this. And then when it's all plugged in, it'll work perfectly. First time. Right, I'm going to go and solder these all together. So this is going to come round, that's going to go under first, and that one's going to come over top. So that's going to sit like that. Let me just check. It's going to allow me to do that. Minimum amount of modification possible. Oh yeah, yeah. Plenty of space. It's not impeding the barrel. All good. There we go. Okay, let's go do some soldering. Yeah, it's going to be a beast. Last part I was waiting for has come in. That is the 9-ball cylinder head. And then we've got one of my nice custom brushless motors. Right, I'm going to go solder this and I will be back in a second. We'll need this bit of heat shrink. There we go. Oh, got some messages. Hey, hey. First time to catch you. Always been a big fan. Been quite a few years since I've skirmished, though. Welcome. Yeah, so I see you're commenting on YouTube. Yeah, so the last time I tried streaming to YouTube, they kicked the stream because they saw a an image of the bodywork of this particular piece, and that triggered their automatic algorithm. You're not allowed to stream, to live stream, working on anything that looks like that. I did appeal it, which they just automatically declined. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop the YouTube live stream as soon as we move on to the final assembly, so we don't get any warning strikes or anything like that. But if you nip over to Twitch or Facebook recording, so I will eventually get around to editing this, because this is part 2 of the live stream. A weekly occurrence. Now we've got all everything set up. Okay. Is it still going to use the 7.2 cartridge battery or move up to a small LiPo? This is going to run on a small LiPo, but still in the same 7.2 volt adapter. You get little LiPo batteries that kind of slot in to test these on my bench battery. LiPo battery adapter. So that to just chuck a Dean's plug on, or an XT30 plug. You just wire it up to trying to like fit a LiPo in here. It's just not clean. So yeah, I generally I take the more technically challenging setup of trying to make everything work with the default contact system. But Dean's or XT30 plug into your adapter and run a LiPo or whatever. I've seen a few people do that. So here is the finished setup. We've got our negative battery connector here. We've got negative out to the motor here, and then we have the positive signal out to the one side, to the main positive, which is daisy chained off to the maid of the connect. Usually this is all one piece, but we've had to split it up, and then the negative line without having to, you can take that off and work on the motor and gearbox side. All good. I'm just going to go and shrink down the heat shrink, and then we can basically move on to the gearbox side. I'll reassemble all this, and then we can move on to the gearbox. Brushless motor looks really good. Yeah, thank you very much. This is actually the last of my CMG motors. I'm just chatting to get another batch of them made up, because the first 2 batches have all sold out now. We've got the pinion gear are awesome. They are a lot of fun. Way more reliable than the stock ones. More torque. About the same speed, I think, maybe a little bit faster through this gearbox shell, but the motor can handle it. And if Retro Arms ever get their finger out and make a CMG gearbox shell, done a couple of conversions on the Jingong Mac 10s. They need a lot of material removed to get anything to fit comfortably. Liking that converted back. It's a bit trickier to set it up. You got to drill some hole. I'm not sure if you caught the last stream, where the signal wire onto this contact side, and then this contact side daisy chains off the main power line. Yeah, it's a bit shrink down, and then carry on with the build. Go. Yeah, so the Mac 10 actually has the most space out of all of the CMGs, but it is the hardest one to wire up, just because of the way that they've done the wiring kind of as standard. Okie doke. So, get you in there. You in there. Hook you up and screw you down. There we go. Cool, so that is basically the finished assembly. There we go. We need to hook in our levers as well. So let's put you in. Oops, and you. Now, let's see if we can remember which way round you go. That way. No, definitely not that way. Oh, this is why I don't like taking breaks between builds. I like to do them all in one go where possible. Yeah, must go this way. Sometimes. There we go. On these builds where, you know, you're not doing them all day, every day, you might forget where one little bit goes. So that is our kind of selector cutoff system. There we go. Into the gearbox and is activated by the sector gear. So this is our finished. So yeah, Perrin MOSFET. And yeah, that's it. All good. Right. So we can move you off to the side. Oh, let's just do a wee. Let's just check that that's going through nicely, which it is. Excellent. Very good. Oh, of course, we need to put the barrel in before we screw this down. I knew there was something. Right, so because the barrel goes on that side, like so. Does it? Or am I just going mad? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Maybe I am thinking of the wrong thing. No, yeah, okay, we're good. It was just having... Right, let's get the wires sitting in their little slot. And then... Perfect. One completed assembly. Nice. Okay, now we can move on. Yeah, I think we do have a bit of a lag here. Video stuttering a bit on Facebook through Starlink, so the internet is not the best. Better than it was on ADSL. Yes, the MP7 is a pain in the arse as well. There we go. Right, that's all good. That is perfect. We will grease that up in a minute. Right, now we need to move on to our yeah, we have a few ideas on how to fix the internet here, but it's going to take a while, unfortunately. Yeah, we were hoping we could get one of the neighbouring houses. Initially said they could do that, have actually said, no, sorry, we can't do that. It contravenes some agreement that we had with someone, so still contact some of the neighbours and see if we can hook up a wire ourselves. Because and also my old laptop is not the best for for doing this kind of streaming, but it's all I've got right now. So there we go. So the Tokyo Marui pinions are a really nice tight fit. Oops. How was your weekend with your daughter? Yes, it was lovely. My daughter and my son. I had the two of them. My daughter did spend... Well, my son spent most of the day, most of the week playing Minecraft and Binding of Isaac with me. And my daughter spent a lot of the time just chilling, chatting on the phone to her friends and chilling out. She made a lovely apple crumble with my mum. Yeah, it's just chill. We roasted some marshmallows on the fire in the living room, and yeah, just generally caught up and chilled out. Starlink is better than ADSL. It's not bad. I think we're a combination of my laptop up here really struggling with running all the software and the mediocre upload speeds on Starlink. It's not great when we've got like when the football games are on. Yep, that causes everything to drop out, but not a lot of options at the workshop here, unfortunately. Right. So we don't want to take much off. Okay. Since I just joined the stream, why did you take your motor apart? So what I did was I took the pinion off of the stock Tokyo Marui brushed motor with little pinion removal tool, and I installed it onto this one. But to do that, you have to access the back of the axle, which is underneath this cap here. So I've got to take the end cap off. That gives me access to the back of the shaft, which I can then put in my pinion press, which is this little Hudi pinion press. But yeah, you can't just press it from the end bell, you've got to press it from the axle itself. So you just hang the pinion over, because this is one of my new brushless motors for the electric submachine gun platform with the long shaft. So MP7, Mac 10 and Scorpion, as well as the Scorpion Mod M. So got a little bit of modification to do here. We've just got to widen, not much, just a hair. Of the motor, because it is a fraction wider than the Tokyo Marui one. What happens if you do leave that end cap on? And the bearing that supports the axle in that end cap. You might be lucky, and yeah. Yeah, if you're unsure, I sell these motors. I don't have the long shaft ones in stock anymore. I'm away to order a new batch, but I've got plenty of the short ones for the pistols. But yeah, if you're unsure, just drop me a line and I can fit a pinion on for you. I'm not sure if I have any Tokyo Marui pinions available, but if you have one already, like, you can ship me your motor, and it should be under, $15 anywhere in the world just to ship a little motor like this. I can remove the pinion and ship both back to you. These motors, my brushless motors, are designed for the Tokyo Marui pinions, so they'll not take a D-shaft pinion. I mean, you can modify them to take one, but again, I wouldn't recommend it. You'd need to be doing it in a milling machine, and it's without that, it's not going to be accurate enough to be properly centered and perfect. Right. Let's see if that's enough. It doesn't need much. Okay, just a hair more, I think. What does my turnaround time look like currently, assuming I sent you a gearbox in a bag? Turnaround is about 10 to 14 days just now. If I have all the parts in stock, then maybe even slightly quicker. It really just depends on the build. But for an AEP, assuming I have everything in stock, yeah, 10 to 14 days. I think I'm just going to do it just a hair more, so we're not... take off the burr on that side. Just a tiny little bit more. There we go. Nice. And we'll do a little check to make sure that is clamping down correctly. I think we'll need just a very, very small amount off of the top here. There we go. Perfect. Very nice. So now we can check fitment. Benji, I'll be sending you basically everything, including all the upgrade parts. Awesome. Yeah, so that's even better. That will speed things up for sure. Which upgrade parts do you have? Because some of them are unfortunately utter garbage. Some of the well-known branded aftermarket parts for the AEP and CMG series, they are worse than the stock Toki Marui parts. Namely, the 9-ball plastic parts, so they're pistons, piston heads. The spring guides are okay, but yeah, the 9-ball pistons and piston heads are just trash. They are no good at all. They have no redeeming features. So I cannot recommend them, and I don't install them if people send those parts over. But yeah, let me know what you've got, and then I can advise you on the sort of the build that we can do. Increase longevity. I see polished piston rails at least. Yeah, so this is an Eagle 6 M80 spring. It's about the strongest AEP spring you can get, or CMG spring. To increase reliability, we're using a 9-ball cylinder head. They have a nice thick sort of buffer pad. Work best with the stock piston heads. With the plastic piston heads, I would be hesitant to pair this with a metal piston. Easel bearings, and polish the piston rails and the tappet rail as well. That's about all you can do. The gearbox shells are not the strongest. It's a caveat I do give people. You know, we do what we can, and I advise, you know, on the best upgrade work, there is an increased risk of breakage, but that's just a risk we kind of have to understand and work with. It's why I don't use like piston spring guide spacers or piston spacers with the M80 springs. So yeah. What power do I expect? That is very tricky. Power in AEPs varies wildly. I had that with a Scorpion Mod M I was doing last week. I barely got 300 FPS out of it. And that was with an almost identical, in fact, a little bit more than what I'm doing here. There were a few extra upgrade parts, and I ended up going in and optimizing a whole bunch of stuff to solve some small air leaks I was seeing. And yeah, we just barely broached that 300 FPS mark. Usually in a Scorpion Mod M with that length of barrel, it was an edgy 242mm barrel, a 601. I would be expecting 310, 315 maybe. But yeah, it was, you know, the exact same build I've done in MP7s and Mac 10s, and I've got 330 FPS. So it's variable, and it is very difficult to predict with these tiny platforms. I'm hoping we see 300 FPS with this. I couldn't guarantee it. I don't know for sure, but I'm hoping for 300 FPS. Yeah, the 9-ball plastic parts, the piston, the stock, like the standard flat piston head is okay, but the O-ring doesn't seal well with anything really. So I tend not to use them. They kind of work all right with the 9-ball cylinders, but they're kind of slightly undersized, so you have a slightly, like, just a marginally lower volume. I don't like the 9-ball plastic parts. Yeah, the pistons are garbage. Like, they are maybe 10% as strong as the Tokimuri pistons. So, yeah, they're expensive and utter trash. So yeah, if you can return those, if you've purchased them, I would recommend returning them. If you have purchased them within the last 30 days in the UK, you are entitled to a refund. You have to post them back at your own expense, but that is your right under the Consumer Goods Act. Was it 2010 or something? I can't remember when it was, but yes. Return them for a refund. Outside of that 30 days, you can only return them if they are defective. I would argue that they are defective because they don't work as intended. But yeah, good luck arguing that with a retailer. Yep. So I generally don't bother. You could polish it a little bit. That might help. I did read it was an article on, what was it? One of the, like, NASA sort of scientific journal sites where they were saying that polishing a surface inch of any given curve, so it decreases the likelihood of kind of stress cracks. So yeah, you could give it a shot. Try just polishing the area. That might help. I don't know. Unfortunately, a little too late for that. But considering I'm willing to ship it all to you for work and back, I can eat that piston head. Lol. Yes. I had that same mistake. I bought them many years ago, and put them in just a stock Tokimuri piston, and yeah. I don't think they even lasted 100 rounds. And then I did another one in an MP7. Again, didn't even last 100 rounds. And the stock piston, still going strong to this day. Okay, right, now I've blabbered on a bit. We do need to modify this a hair. So we just need to shorten our motor height lever, because the back end of the brushless motor is a little bit thicker. They're just slightly longer. Oh yeah, I'm seeing 25% frames dropped. Yeah, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully by next week I might have the KVM switch set up, and we can run the stream off the server. And hopefully it should be a little bit more reliable. Okay, how's that looking? Because we do want to be able to adjust it. There we go. And lastly, we are going to need to remove this anti-rotation pin. Okay, let's try these ones. Oh, that one is in there good. Usually these just pop out. There we go. Right, don't need you. Nice. Now, you know Sam means business when he starts throwing chairs. Hell yeah. I don't know if any of you know, I used to do strongman chair training to do sort of competitions where we'd lift the Atlas stones over a bar. It would be like head to head, so we'd kind of lift it over and then the other person have to lift it back and we'd just see who drops first. I was undefeated in that. I was not the strongest at the gym, but I was the quickest and I had the largest amount of stamina. It was very, very good. Need to get back, actually. Right. Yes. Perfect. We have got the negative on this side, which is where it needs to be, because it's going to hook into that connector there. Okay. So we've done basically all the prep work now. We can just get on with the shimming. So we're going to check the gear axles fit, which they do. Tokyo Marui are usually fine on gear axles, but there are a few brands that don't like to fit in these EZO bearings. The EZO bearings are very precisely made, and some of the gear axles from some of the brands are not. Right, so I'm gonna have to bring my light down. What's the height interaction looking like? Do we need to go in slightly or no? We are exactly where we need to be on the height. That is perfect. Okie doke. There we go. So when you're installing these, the gears spin one way and the motor will try and spin the other way. That makes the screw head protrude, which acts as our anti-rotation link, so that motor cannot rotate round. Now, how much play have we got? A little bit, maybe 0.15 mils. I'm liking this evening live streaming. Get some tech work done. I've got paperwork to do as well. I've got all last. It's the fun side of running a business. So, might even just get away with this. Okay. Well, I am glad that the stream has held up on YouTube. That is looking promising, so we'll just need to make sure we don't show any bodywork to trip up the trip up the algorithm. And hopefully we can continue live streaming on all the platforms. Oh, perfect. There we go. Look at that. Nice. So now we are done with the motor and we can carry on the shimming. Without having to fuss with the motor. There we go. So you can come out. You can come out. We don't need you, but we will leave you on because that is our front spacer. We don't want to be clamping the screws down without that. Right, how much play do we have left on this gear? Fair bit. So we'll probably... that might be a little bit too thick. What's that, a 0.3? I think we're going to need a 0.2. So we'll try a 0.2 on top. Oh, you're not a 0.2, you are a plastic washer. Away you go. Yeah, so I'm getting a million warnings saying we're dropping frames. But we're just going to crack on this time and hope. Okay, so we'll get our 0.2 on the top of the bevel gear. We've shimmed out the underside, so any remaining shims go on top. Now the shimming methodology for this is just the same as an AEG. But you've got one extra gear and the tolerances are a lot tighter. You generally don't have to shim much. You know, sometimes in an AEG you might have a mil of play or a mil and a half of play. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Very nice. There we go. That's a good spin. To the next one. Now, probably in about half an hour, I will need to figure out how to stop the YouTube live stream without stopping the rest. I don't even know if that's possible. I did forget to check how to do that before I started, but oh well. Okie doke. So next one can just sit down as low as you like, no problems there. And that is going to give us the most amount of leeway with the rest of them. But usually it's a bit of shimming on the bevel. Most of the shimming happens on the two spur gears. I have a different experience. Cool. Maybe a... I don't even know if we'll get a 0.1 on there. We'll try a 0.1, but I think it's just under 0.1 mils of play there. So we'll give it a shot, see how it goes. And if 0.1 makes it too tight, then that is fine to leave just as it is. I will need to go and get another pack of shims. I've used up all my 0.1s, or at least all my labelled 0.1s. Oops. Little threads caught at the end there. Right, let's go grab a pack of shims. Right. Found them eventually. Okay. There we go. that too tight is the question. Maybe. The big question is, does it spin? Oh, that spins. Okay. I think we are just on the absolute verge of what we can deal with there, but there is a little bit of play. It's only about 0.02 mils. But, yeah. Yeah, that play must have been 0.11, 0.12 mils. Luckily, we've got some very good quality shims. Prometheus shims are amazing. Now, the Leylax 9-ball plastic parts are trash, but the Leylax Prometheus shims are superb. Need some 0.05 mil shims, not like you can just put a bit of Kapton tape on. Yeah. Kapton tape is fantastic for like shimming motor towers and things, but I've not seen Kapton tape used as a shim inside a gearbox yet. I'm sure I will one day. Okay. Now, usually this shim goes underneath, so how is the stream doing on YouTube? Is everything looking all right? Like I can see the preview on my phone on the side, but I don't want to mess it up, you know, trying to stream out and view the stream on the downside on my Starlink connection. That's just asking for trouble. Okay. But yeah, one of the ideas was to just go round to one of the neighbours out back. So I'm in like an industrial. I've had the heater on for maybe 3 or 4 hours in my tech room, which thankfully is almost fully sealed. It's like a little box. I mean, it's not little, it's like bigger than my living room at home, but it's, you know, it's a little sealed box with heaps of insulation on all sides so that I can actually stay warm in the winter. Yeah, we're going to need some more shims on that. For me, might be a local issue though. Yeah, maybe. I'm still getting kind of warnings about every 15 minutes. I'm getting a frame, 25% frame drop error. So could be on this side, could be on your side. It is hard to tell, but it's definitely not. It's not a perfect stream on my end. Yeah, I've still got about a 2-second delay on my end. Okay, so I think we're going to need maybe even a 0.3 on this one. There we go. Oh, I forgot to put the live stream link back up on the Discord group. Let me do that just now. Right, okay, back to it. Oh dear. Well, at least my tech room is heated up, so I don't have to be wearing my down body warmer as well. Just a wee fleecy jumper. Okay, well, we are nearing completion, to be honest. Not far off now. Okay, I think we're going to take out the 0.3 and we're going to move to a 0.2 and a 0.15. Because we need a little bit more on there, but not as much as a 0.1. So you can go back in the 0.3. Oops. Yeah, so we are streaming out on Twitch, as well as Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. Maybe that's why the the stream is a little laggy. We're doing 3 simultaneous streams all at once. Maybe it's not liking that. I don't know if that's going to be putting a lot of extra strain on my laptop, or if it's an internet issue. But it seemed to be okay on Friday with just Twitch and Facebook. Maybe it's the YouTube streaming that is slowing things down, or just pushing it over that that line of acceptability. No worries at all, man. Yeah, I will post the videos up. I'll need to edit them. I got about 4 hours, I think 4 or 5 hours to edit altogether. But yeah, we'll get them. I'm not going to do anything fancy, just chuck them together and put them up on YouTube. But I have remembered to actually... Oh, perfect. I have remembered to actually hit the record button this time. Yeah, man. Yeah, just... Oh, look at that. Nice and smooth. Yeah, just box it up, ship it over anytime. You're welcome just to grab the address off the website. Put a wee note in the box with your shipping details. You know, your contact details, your return address. If it's just the gearbox, then you know you can label it as an RC gearbox. That'll get through customs nice and fast. And yeah, I'll just get to work once it arrives. Okay, we're finished shimming those. On to the sector gear. Once we're done the sector gear, we'll have a little mod to do on the tappet system. Oh, excuse me. And that is going to help with the feeding, because these Mac 10s do not like to feed very well. A wee sip of my coffee. Lovely. Yeah, the Mac 10 mags are amongst the worst for feeding. MP7 mags are easily the best. The Scorpion mid caps are fantastic. The high caps are utter garbage. go. Put you there. We don't have any shims. Oh, we've got one shim stuck to the top. Cool. Yeah, Scorpion modem, mid caps, great. High caps, garbage. Mac 10, all of the mags are mediocre at best. The high caps are maybe slightly better than the mid caps for the Mac 10, but none of them are superb. But there is a little mod we can do to the tappet system that really helps there. So I will show you that once we're done the shimming. And then it's really just greasing everything up, putting it all back together, and checking to see if it works. That is always the nerve-wracking part, especially to do it on a live stream. You know, if there's a little problem or a niggle. I mean, I suppose it gives me a chance to... Okay, so that's just perfect as is, as I was expecting. So yeah, no shims required on the sector gear. I don't know if you guys can see that. How can I angle it so you can see? There we go. There we go. Nice. Right. I'm going to move you away so I don't forget about it and then think I've missed a shim somewhere. I've done that before. Spent 15 minutes checking all the shimming only to discover that it was a shim I'd left from previous. And actually everything was perfect. Right, we will fit the second spur. Just do one final check that everything is nice and smooth and rotates perfectly. From there, I'll show you the tappet mod. We'll get everything greased and assembled, and then check the power. So like I said before, I'm hoping for maybe 300 FPS. Anything over that would be lovely. But yeah, it is a bit of an unknown. Sometimes you'll get, you know, a hop chamber and nozzle that just seal perfectly, and you'll see a nice high FPS. You know, maybe 330, 335. And other times you'll do the exact same build and we'll be sitting at 295. Which is what happened the other day. It turned out that the hop chamber was broken on the Scorpion Mod M, and the magazine wasn't feeding correctly. The BBs were jamming kind of halfway up the mag. So once we'd sorted all that, we got it to about 300 FPS. Still not perfect, but as good as... Okay, so we've got a little bit of stickiness happening here. So there is something causing a little bit of an issue there. So let's check the second spur interaction with the sector. Might need to raise its height slightly, or just check there's no residue or anything between the teeth. It does happen sometimes. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll raise the height on this one slightly. Okie doke. Let's see how that does. sticky. Yeah, something isn't quite sitting right in there. I don't know if there's one of the gears catching. We know it's not the sector gear by itself, so it's not the sector gear against the gearbox. Right, let's check the two separate sets. So sector gear is fine, spins perfectly. Where are the other two? Yeah, other two are fine. So we know it's something to do with this gear here. So let's try. Still think it's something on the interaction between the spur and the sector. So let's check these teeth. Make sure there's no little bits of residue or anything weird going on here. Ah, little metal flake. Look at that. That will do it. Just the tiniest little, it's like the coating off one of the gears, like the nickel plating or something. Oh, and another one. And another one here. Yep. So that is just enough to cause a snag. Now, if we just powered the motor on and ran it, those little flakes would just grind to dust and it would have been fine, but it is suboptimal. I'd rather not have metal flakes in the gearbox. Oh, there's one. So I think maybe this gear didn't quite come out of the plating process as perfectly as it should have. It's not something that I see very often. I have seen it before, but it's not common. So I've only seen it a couple of times before, where you've got the actual nickel plating kind of peeling off in places here. Oh, there's a little flake there. Toki Marui usually have this dialed in pretty well, but this one has obviously slipped through that quality control net. Okay. Well, no problem at all. We can work with that. Get those shims back in the right place. There we go. Well, hopefully that has solved our little snagging issue. And we're going to be that's better. We're still getting one snag, so maybe we've we'll give the gears another look and just make sure we don't have any more flakes, but that was, we were getting about a full rotation and a half of the sector, so I think maybe there's just a little flake that's come off somewhere and got jammed in the gears, so we'll find that and then that'll be awesome. And done. Right. So let's just check. Yeah, here we are. Just in there. We'll just go through all of those teeth, just scrape them clean. Yep, a little hidden one there. Yeah, just one hiding in the grease. So, not a major issue, not something to particularly worry about. Let's just go around all the teeth again. Cool. Okie doke. Well, I think we are now ready to move on to the greasing and the final assembly. There we go. Right. So I'll get our trusty toothbrush. Bit of Superlube PTFE grease. Just get right in there. Get all those surfaces covered. Wipe off any excess. I'm going to need a new bit of blue roll. Right, that's you. both of our shims here. There we go. There. With a bit of grease to glue them together. Nice. Now we had nothing underneath, we had a 0.2 on top, so that must be stuck to our bearing. A little bit of static or magnetic force there. There we go. And then grease that bevel gear up. Very nice. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about the tappet. We don't have stronger springs for the tappet plate, but we can pre-compress it. So what I'm going to do Oh, we've got some customers at the workshop. I'll be back in a second. Oh, and we're back. Sorry, how do we customer in there? Okay. Where were we? Tappet mod. Yes. So this is just a random. Oh, the stream caught up a little bit there. So this is just a random V2 safety lever from my box of safety levers. But this shaft here, so this is the lower half, sits like that in the gearbox. But this shaft here happens to be the exact diameter, or almost the exact diameter of the tappet plate spring. So what we can do is trim this down. We'll just cut the end of the lever off. And I will bring out the finger chopper. So this is the guillotine. And all we're going to do is trim you down. This one's a little bit brittle, but that's fine. We can tidy it up. There we go. So we're just gonna tidy that edge up there, make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. And now we have created a little tappet spring spacer. So all that does, that just pops into the guide there. A little random flake. So that just pops into the guide. It just sits there at the back, so that when we put our spring in, it just pre-compresses it very slightly. And that helps to strengthen the effective kind of force of the tappet spring, which means our nozzle pushes forward a little bit more consistently and everything feeds a little more reliably. So I usually go, about between 4 to 5 millimeters. We're 4.33 millimeters there. So anywhere in that sort of zone, you will be absolutely fine. 4 to 5 mils. And we are golden. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease on. Don't need much, just a hair on the tappet rails, on the piston rails, a little bit in the bearings there. I mean, they're sealed bearings, so it's not going to do an awful lot in there. Put our tappet spring in. Get our cut-off lever in. Spring goes in first. Little tail to the left. Cut-off lever sits on top and screws down. There we go. Now, a little bit of grease on our anti-reversal latch. You go in first, and then we're going to grease this up before we put the tappet spring in. Where There's my thick grease. So we want nice thick grease on the cylinder head there. It's just going to help with the air seal. Nice. Put the rest back. Don't need much of that. And then the rest is going to be our super lube. So we're using the stock Marui piston and piston head because they are fantastic. Bit of super lube on the O-ring there. Very nice. Notice we're not putting the air nozzle in yet. That goes in last. We can do that from the outside of the gearbox. But now we've got that done, we can put our tappet plate in. So I'm holding down the back so the spring doesn't ping out or anything, because this is under a little bit more tension than before. I'm going to slot our sector gear in place. There we go. And then the cylinder assembly with the piston can pop down, and that is going to hold, there we go, that's going to hold the tappet spring in place. So then we're going to do the bevel gear, then our rear spur, then the front spur. Now we need to get the motor in. So, a little bit of grease on there. Make sure we have it round the right way. There we go. Motor in. Height adjuster not in, apparently. Come on. There we go. Height adjuster in. Motor brace. That's a bit of sorbethane that I took off the finger chopper. Right, now I'm going to put a little bit of the super lube grease behind that washer. And then we're going to put some of the thick stonky grease on the actual spring guide. That's just going to help dampen any spring vibrations. There we go. Love this stuff. Molykote high vacuum grease. Superb for spring guides and static O-rings. Or largely static O-rings. And there we go. That is our gearbox basically finished. So I'm going to take a little picture. Oh, that has stopped the music. And let's just get one with the nozzle. There we go. Right. And there we go. Back with the music. You're making it look too easy to reassemble. First time I took one apart, it took me a week to reassemble. I was ready to sweep it off the coffee table and into the bin if it didn't go together at that point. I feel you there, yes. These can be extremely frustrating to work on. I'm very lucky in that I've worked on dozens of electric pistols, probably into the hundreds, maybe? No. I don't think into the hundreds, but certainly multiple dozens of electric pistols. So, I have the experience to be able to reassemble it, usually in one or two goes. But they can still be frustrating. Especially when we've got the M80 spring like this. I need to make sure my hands are clear of grease. I do not want slippy fingers trying to put this back together. Of course, we've got to put a bit of grease on this side. So just on the piston rails there. A little coating on the bearing holes. Wipe my hands down again. Okay. This is the fun part. Gotta make sure it's all sitting nicely. Eagle 6 M80 spring. There we go. Just like that. So before this pops open, we're going to chuck the screws back in, and then I'm going to take the screws back out one at a time and get some thread lock on them. Way too easy. Yep. Oh dear. Okay. Nice. We're going to go with the Loctite 266 thread locker. So we can put just a drop on the ends. Don't need much. And less because they are tiny, thin screws. It's always nice when it goes together first time like that on a live stream. It doesn't always, but no, it went smoothly this time. Now we can thread lock you. And you. Okay. And there we go. That is a finished gearbox, hopefully. Now, I'm just going to remove this nozzle because I didn't put any grease on it. I just chucked it in there for the photo shoot. There we go. That's all it needs. Now, one thing I will say is if you're ever testing these gearboxes, do not test them with the nozzle installed. The nozzle is kept aligned by the hop chamber, so it needs to be installed and fully finalized in the bodywork in order to correctly stabilize everything. Otherwise, because you've got the tappet plate pulling on one side, it can pull the nozzle. The nozzle can jam in the cylinder head, and then the tappet plate will immediately strip, and they don't exist as an aftermarket spare part. So then you're just down an airsoft build. It's not great, but yeah, this is what happens, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're testing the gearbox out with the rest, just take that nozzle out, and then you can cycle the gearbox. What I would say is, if you're dry firing it, just brace the front, because none of the energy is being transferred to a BB. So yeah, just through the utmost caution, I always just brace the front of the gearbox shell, because that's the weak point at the top there, at the top front. So yeah, there we go. We can get the wires hooked in now. I mean, if you aren't turning the Evlu with some choice words, are you really teching? That's a fair argument. There we go. So that is our cutoff system. So when you pull the trigger there, the cutoff lever pulls that out, and that disconnects and then resets back. Ooh, why is that not resetting? Oh, because the trigger hadn't reset. That was me holding it. Oh dear, oh dear. There we go. Awesome. Oh, I'm inventing problems for myself. Cool. So, now, I think yeah, we can actually just reuse these wires. Well, this one at least. Yeah, okay, right. I'm just going to reuse that negative wire. That is very good. And then solder on this one. Fantastic. So that should just be, I can just match that length there. And that is it. Right. Yeah, let's get going. I'm going to move over to the solder station, and I'll be back in a second. There we go. One finished setup. Now we do need to tighten up these connectors a little bit. That one will be fine, so it's just this one that needs a little tighten up. Yeah. So there we go. So that's you. And then this one. Oh, that's an arse to access. Okay, cool. That's fine. So I think I will just take this top off. Yeah. Right, now I'm afraid I'm going to have to shut the YouTube stream down. Can I do this? I might just have to close the stream and restart it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can. Not sure if I can just stop it from going to YouTube. So right, I'm going to close down the stream and restart it. Let me just type this out. Oh, my keyboard's disconnected. Going to close the YouTube stream for the final stage. Tune in on Twitch or Facebook. Okie doke, right. I am going to restart the stream now and take off the YouTube streaming so we don't get an automatic strike or ban on YouTube. Okay, I'll be back up in 2 minutes.